Hello everyone, Ricky here. I'm going to go to a brand new video, and this video is going to be something different for this channel. This is not really something that would normally be typical. It's not really a gaming video. It's something I've been wanting to look into for a little while now, actually. Am I autistic? It is currently almost nearing the end of Autism Awareness Month, April. I was about to call it Autumn Awareness Month. Yeah, let's be aware of the leaves falling off the trees. It's not even summer yet, but for personal reasons, some of which I will get into, some personal stuff, some of which I won't get into, as I say. Stuff that's happened in my past, in my recent past as well, and just some things that I'm just like, don't make me feel particularly normal. I have since been told by my family that I am actually on the spectrum. I've been listed as being on the spectrum, but I haven't been given a firm, concrete diagnosis of being autistic of any sort. And I'm hoping to change that in the future. I'm hoping to chase up an autism diagnosis, which, because of the current strain on the health system in the UK, I'm even lucky if I'll be able to get on the list within a year, and it'll take me probably another year to even get the test done. it's a small what did you actually get on the list in the first place, as far as that I've been told. I've been given an ADHD letter that I need to fill in, because I'm also assuming I might also be both autistic and ADHD, or as referred to by some, ADHD. So I'm hoping to seek both of those diagnoses, because I do kind of feel as though I've got those kind of quirks. And I've had more than enough people, shout out to Tilly and Hattie and some other people who have essentially says to me, yes, you could be this way. Not saying it's bad, but it just friends, I just kind of want closure and that sentiment sort of thing. I've done some really weird mistakes. I've also done some really things that are just like, I do at the time, but it's just like I don't think are normal in hindsight. I'm quite bad for temper tantrums. At the age of 26, is that something you do when you're, like young and that sort of thing, or, stressing out over things? I'm quite bad for making up my mind on such. A lot of those kind of traits are kind of similar to autism. I would just like to make the point of saying, anyone who's going to be like, oh, you don't look autistic. What kind of appearance does autism have? That's what I'm going to ask you. There's this YouTuber that I've been watching recently by the name of I Am Mindblind. Her name is, I'm actually forgetting her name, actually, Amanda, who is a 40-year-old mother, I think 40 plus, I'm not too sure, who found out that she had autism when she was getting her children diagnosed. So it's taken quite a while for people to actually get diagnosed with autism, in their later life. It's becoming a very common thing. Even people as far as, granny age, essentially, granny or grandfather age, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, people are getting diagnosed with autism. So we are moving forward, awareness is spreading, and I hope, with my small channel and video, I hope to gain that sort of thing today. But what I want to do with this video is I want to do this little questionnaire that's on this website. It's by Clinical Partners. It's a UK website. I'm not too sure when it comes to the actual company itself. Partly by the NHS, but I'm not too sure if it's actually a feasible website or if it's actually reliable. And I've only just answered the first two questions of this before I decided I want to make this video. So I somewhat know how this questionnaire is going to go, but I'm hoping to run through this questionnaire and see if they actually conform to who I believe I am. And the first question that I'm getting this is, I prefer to do things on my own rather than with others. This kind of feeds into a sort of complex thing that people have with autism. There's a lot of black and white thinking when it comes to autism, that, people who are autistic don't like to talk to people. That does not work for me. I am quite a talkative person. I do like to talk to people in real life and online. I ramble to heck. But one thing I've noticed about myself is I've been, I've had a couple of friends who have been like, listen, Ricky, would you like me to help you with your videos and such? Do you want an editor or that sort of thing? They know who they are, they're watching this. And sometimes I feel as though if I do things on my own, make the videos on my own, record the videos on my own, get them edited, I know I've done them. Even though I've been kind of like keen on maybe just recording the videos and having someone help me out with them. At the same time, I actually enjoy the process of doing the full thing on my own. So when it comes to this question, that is how I see the response to this. I prefer to do things on my own, as in I like to do all the things on my own. If it's one of those things where it's a lot of people will say this is a common trait, but this is one of those things where even Amanda from I Am Mindblowing said is autistic traits are human traits. So any trait you can think of is actually a common trait. It's just either elevated or more focused in an autistic person. So the whole I prefer to do things on my own, it kind of feeds into a lot of what people like to say is if I get things done my way, I'll make sure it's done, sort of thing. Or anything you want done, you need to do it yourself. So that's kind of what I get from this question. So I would probably say, I'm not going to say definitely agree, because there are times where I do like the help. So I will say I slightly agree for that one. Question 2. I prefer doing things the same way, for instance, my morning routine or trip to the supermarket. When I first read this question, I was a little bit confused, but I didn't know how to respond to this question because I don't currently have a proper routine. So this is one of those questions where it's kind of like vague and off the... Not vague, but it's kind of like precise. It's like you need a precise answer for it. But I would probably say there is areas where I have seen myself... There's certain little things that I do prefer to happen. For instance, if someone tries to wake me up when I'm sleeping, I am crabby for the rest of the day, or cranky for the rest of the day. But if I let my alarm clock wake me up, or if I wake up on my own, I'm happy for the rest of the day. I'm fine. So when it comes to routine, I'm not too sure if it means that precisely, because I'm not like, I have to do this. I have to wake up this time of the day. Because I think that's a stereotype of some movies when it comes to autism is, the character needs to get up at this time of the day, need to eat food by this time of the day, need to make sure that this is done and that is done and that is done by this time and that time and that time. I need to have control of their life, but it's just something that autistic people do, and I have actually seen myself have that sort of thing. I need to have some sort of level of control of my life, which, again, is a common trait of most people, I think, but it's one of those things that's more elevated in people who are autistic. And I do see myself in this question to a certain degree. I'm not too sure if this is actually what the question is asking. But as I say, from the whole alarm clock waking me up, I'm happier with an alarm clock. If someone tries to nudge me, Ricky, come on, time to get up, I am not as happy about it. And I don't know why. It's just one of those things. My brain just doesn't like it. And I've noticed that, and I do have to apologise to my family because I get cranky all the time, and then interruptions and stuff that I'm trying to work on something, I get interrupted, and it's just like, I tried to do this. But that's that for that question. So I'm just going to say, for this one, slightly agree. That's another one that I'm kind of like, I'm not 100% on, but I'm not 100% against it either. This one. I find myself becoming strongly absorbed in something, even obsessional. I've got something to demonstrate. For one thing, FNAF. My graphic design. I did have a set of car keys I put together because ever since I was a kid, I've been keen on collecting car keys. I have this little television right here that I got from one of those, an eBay seller. It's these cheap little Chinese little dollhouse things. It's a functional television. You can actually flick it on, and it actually does play video if the battery's full. I've only got one video on it right now. It's the Warner Brothers logo. I will say it was a little bit scratchy. The content that came preloaded, it was in Chinese, was actually a little bit better quality. But I'm into that sort of stuff. Graphic design, my collections. I do a lot of collecting stuff. I think that feeds into the whole ADHD thing. Is my taste can flow day by day. I'll have an interest for 5 months, and then I'll never think about it again. I'm just it's all dead in the water. I used to do that for FNAF. I used to do that for Sonic. Currently, FNAF is my longest interest currently, as well as Sonic, and some other stuff. But I've had occasions as well where I've just had set interests that they come and go. I can be hyper focused on them. I want to dig all the research into them I can. Even when I first got into FNAF, I'm just digging into all the research, watching all the MatPat videos, watching, reading a lot of the wiki stuff, even reading fan fiction, and digging into the fan base as a whole, understanding people's perspectives and that sort of thing. Same with Sonic. I've got a bunch of plushies from both series, just bend in the background. I've actually got one somewhere here. No, they're over there. I can't bother to reach them. I've got this little Sonic figurine on my desk right here, and there's a slightly bigger one on that table just across the road. Well, just over there. Can't actually see that, but so I do kind of see myself getting strongly absorbed in things. I like classic cars as well. Part of the reason why I probably collect car keys, and yes, I do collect car keys. Some other stuff as well that I can't really think on the top of my head right now, but yes, I do. I am strongly obsessional with that sort of stuff. Eddie and Eddie is another one of those hyper focuses I have. I've focused on that cartoon since I was a kid. I've got a little bobblehead of Eddie on my desk right here. You can see him right here. See? You won't be scamming anyone for 25 cents while I'm sitting here, but yeah, that kind of adds to it as well. I do have very defined interests, so for this one, I'm going to say definitely agree. I'm very sensitive to noise and will wear earplugs or cover my ears in certain situations. This one's tricky. When I'm on journeys, when I'm on the bus or something, I do see myself tuning out. I listen to music and stuff. I quite like listening to TV theme tunes, so I like to listen to the theme tunes, and sometimes I get lost in thought actually, because I'll, if I'm listening to a certain theme tune, I'll be thinking about, the drama that happens. I'm quite into a lot of British soaps, like EastEnders or Corrie and that sort of thing. So yes, I do have those theme tunes on my phone, and I do sometimes listen to them, and sometimes I actually think about scenarios on top of my head, just like stuff. It's funny. There's a funny story that I would like to tell. I was on the bus one time, thinking about a drama, thinking about some sort of scenario for some kind of drama, because I did actually plan to at one point making my own soap opera with The Sims. So I thought of scenarios, and there was this drama scenario which caused everyone to become upset or something. I can't remember what it was specifically. But there was a guy on the bus who came up to me and asked, "Hey dude, are you okay?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine." Apparently I had a very depressed looking face. I was happy, but my face looked down as if I'm about to cry or something. And the guy's like, "Are you okay?" Just like, "You look as if you're upset or something." I'm just like, "No, I'm fine." I thought it was quite a weird occasion, but apparently the brain is doing something different to what the face is doing, which is very, very weird. I didn't actually know that about myself until, that guy came up to me. That was like a few years ago now. But when it comes to the whole, wearing earplugs to censor stuff out, the whole zoning out thing doesn't actually make too much. It does make a lot of sense actually that I would do that to block some of the world out if it gets too much. I wouldn't say I'm sensitive to noise, although there are occasions where I do get annoyed, agitated by slight things. Like, I've got a fish tank over there that's bubbling over, I need to fill it, and I can hear the bobbling and bobbling and bobbling. That is getting a little bit annoying to me. There's a drippy tap in the kitchen. I know that for a fact, and when I'm in there making myself a nice hot brew, which is going cold, I can hear the dripping. I'm just like, and then I'm having to adjust the tap just so it doesn't drip as much. So I will probably say, in certain situations, noise does get to me. So yes, I am probably will say I'm sensitive to noise on that account. Sometimes people say I am being rude, even when I think I'm being polite. Yes, I've definitely had my moments with that one. I have been quite blunt with people. I've also been quite snappy with people as well. I'm just like, if someone says something to me, I'm just like, "Did you really just say that?" I'm just like, no. I can be quite confrontational sometimes with people, which apparently that feeds into a sort of social justice aspect of autism, because you can have that sort of thing. Like, if I feel as though someone's upsetting my friend or something like that, I am quick to run up to them and defend them. But yeah, I find it easy to imagine what characters from a book might look like. It's a bit difficult since I don't read a lot of books. I need to have a a pre-made sort of idea. I can imagine characters, predefined characters in certain scenarios. I cannot automatically think of characters at the top of my head. Like if you describe to me a person, if you say like a young, a young 12-year-old girl with blue hair, slight freckles, maybe with a starry jacket, I'm going to think Coraline, because I've not read the book. I've watched the film. I've not read the book. If you described Coraline from the book, I don't know what she looks like. Quite honestly, there was a YouTuber who sketched how they assume she would appear, as well as the other mother and that other characters. Yes, I am a fan of Coraline. So yeah, I struggle with that quite a bit, I will say. Unless I've got a predefined knowledge of how the character looks, I can imagine them in situations, whatever situation that may be, but I cannot imagine the character if I don't actually know what they look like. As far as I'm aware, I'll just think of something like default. It's like The Sims. If you go into The Sims, you just create the first. If you just like spawn create a sim and just use the sim that you just automatically generated from that, or just use a random generator. I'll do that in my mind. I'll just think of a random character that I can think of that can fit into that slot. Otherwise, I cannot think of anything. So I'll probably say slightly disagree. I wouldn't say I'm completely against that, but I'll probably say I'm kind of into that. I find it easy to talk in groups of people. This is a hard one because on one hand I do like being in groups of people, big groups of people. I am sometimes fine, not always being congested. If I'm surrounded by people I don't always know, I'm not too sure about it, but I do like the idea of being at a Christmas party in a small house, crowded full of family members, extended family, and that sort of thing. I do love that sort of fun thing. To me, that's comfort to me. But that's probably my social, because I'm either a social awkward penguin or I'm a social butterfly in some cases. It depends on the situation. But I do, in some occasions, I do actually like in some instances I do like big groups of people. Other times I prefer smaller groups of people because I can focus on stuff better. So it is a little bit vague, this question, because I'm not too sure what it means by groups of people. It could be a big group of people or a small group of people. It depends on the situation, I will say. And it's a little bit bothersome. This question just only has, variations of agree or disagree. It doesn't have, in some situations there are those kind of answers, because that would be a real help. So I'm not too sure whether I can go for slightly agree or disagree. But I'll go for slightly agree. We'll see what the answer comes out as. I am more interested in finding out things. I am more interested in finding out things than people. It depends on the actual thing. If it's something I'm interested in, like, depends on certain kinds of history. If someone gives me a whole history lesson on, the whatever the Victorian era or that sort of thing, I may not find it interesting off the bat. I know in high school was never always completely. I would kind of like turn off. There were certain instances where my interest was piqued when it came to things like we were watching a documentary about there's this documentary the BBC ran that was about the dangers of the Victorian home, and it showcased a lot of stuff that was in the Victorian home, such as the fact that if you had green wallpaper, anything that was coloured green, it had asbestos in it. Now we all know now that asbestos is poisonous or toxic, but I found that sort of kind of thing interesting. And then you had this other show that the BBC ran called The Victorian Pharmacy, which I really enjoyed. So it depends on the thing. Titanic, that's another thing I'm fixated on, but it depends on my fixations. There's things that if I need to learn something, my brain might shut out. Don't know if that's the autism bit or the autism bit that's kicking in when it comes to that, but it depends on the situation. And there's times where even when it comes to things that I'm interested in, the 90s, I am very fixated on 1990s, the aesthetic of the 90s, like old retro stuff, computers, cars, that sort of thing. Talk to me for hours about it, I will be fully engaged. But anything else, it's just like I might shut out. So it will depend on the situation. So I'll say slightly agree. I find numbers, dates, and strings of information fascinating. Yes. I remember when I was still in high school. Whenever the teacher would write on the board an arrow, she would do it like, how you would write it with the keyboard keys, but writing it, so it'd be like, the equal sign, and then the more than sign, or the less than sign, depending on what she's doing. And I usually used to look at like a little face. So yes, I would say that as well. So I prefer non-fiction books to films to fiction. Blah. I prefer non-fiction books and films to fiction. Non-fiction books, I'm not really focused on reading all the time when it comes to books, but things like articles in newspapers, articles of anything, or even Wikipedia articles. I could read an entire Wikipedia, catalogue. I'm one of those people who could start on one page article about, I don't know, the mushrooms, for instance, and end up on an article talking about socks. It's one of those kind of random things. I could do that. So I would definitely say I definitely agree. I find it upsetting if my daily routine is upset or changed. I don't know for that one, actually. As I say, I don't really have a proper routine right now. But if things happen off the bat, maybe if an instance where I arrange to do something with a friend and it doesn't turn out too well, I can admittedly get a little bit upset. There have been instances where, I planned something out and it just didn't turn out well, or didn't go to plan, or something just completely destroyed it. Even something minor just like wrecked it. I'm just like sad. Yeah, I can see that. I can definitely see that. Question 12. It's difficult for me to understand other people's facial expression and body language. That one's tricky for me as well. Sometimes I can read the room, and there's other times where I'm just like, I don't know if this person's upset or if they're happy. So I'm not really sure about that one. I would say slightly agree for that one. I don't have any problems making small talk with new people. Depends on the small talk. There's times where I'm just, I feel slight awkwardness when trying to chat to people, and there's other times I'm just like, I'm in my comfort zone, So I'll say slightly agree. I notice very small changes in a person's appearance. Not always a person's appearance. I will say, it depends on the person. If I know them long enough, maybe that friend has a haircut, or maybe maybe they've I don't know, got a new pair of glasses or something. I'll notice that. So I'd say definitely agree. But I noticed more stuff to do with, like, maybe say a friend's house or something. I used to remember when I was a kid, my aunt always used to rearrange their living room. So, I used to go up to her house and the house was rearranged. The living room was kept a different way. The walls were painted, new articles of knickknacks, somewhere, a new TV or that kind of thing. So I can kind of notice that. When I was young, I used to play lots of let's pretend we're imaginary games. Yes. I used to play. I used to do the mums and dads, and then I used to play what I used to refer to as schools, which I used to pretend to be my school teacher. I did that as a kid. I like collecting information about things I'm interested in. Definitely agree. It goes back to the very start when I was talking about if I something that I like, I dig into it. So yeah, I would say I definitely agree for that one. I like meeting new people. For me, I do like meeting new people. I do like talking to new people. But there's times where I've felt uncomfortableness when I first meet them, and sometimes that uncomfortableness can be confirmed. I don't know how that works, but I'm also a bit of a people pleaser too. So I often try not to say, how I feel about a certain person, especially if it's negative. But I'd probably say yes, I do like meeting new people. I've been joining a lot of new communities and stuff recently and that sort of thing, so yeah, I will say that. People close to me say I talk about the same things repeatedly. I find it easy to work out what people are thinking or feeling just by looking at their facial expression. Slightly agree. New social situations make me feel anxious. New situations, I mean, yes. I have seen myself, and this is actually something else that Amanda from the I Am Mindblind channel talked about. She also feels the same way. She needs to ask like 20 questions to actually understand what she's doing before she does it. And I've seen myself do that as well, but it's just like if there's something new, it's just like, What is this? Where is this? What? How do I do this? Why do I do that? Blah 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 blah. So I'll probably say I find new situations fun. I like to seek new opportunities and such, but I also find them anxiety inducing. I don't suffer from anxiety or that sort of thing. Scary, admittedly, to a certain degree. It's important for me to carefully plan my activities I'm going to do. Definitely, I agree. I suck at planning, but it can take me about 6 months to probably plan something I want to do. Like, tell stories, redoing this YouTube channel. It took me about 6 months to actually convince myself this is a good idea. Question 22. I find it hard to work out what people's intentions are. Yeah. I would find it really hard to play imaginary games with children. No? I've got a bunch of step siblings. When I was younger, I used to enjoy, playing, with them to a certain degree, and, interacting and pretending that things were things and that sort of thing. So I would say slightly agree. I'm not completely 100% in disagreement. I would say slightly disagree. I'm a good diplomat and can help ease difficult social or work situations. Depends on the situation. There's times where arguments have happened and I'm trying to help things, and I admittedly, not as much as I want to actually admit here right now, I've been in situations where I've tried to fix them and indirectly made them worse. I've been in that situation before, and I feel bad for those kind of things that have happened in the past. So I wouldn't say I am always good at that sort of thing. I'm not always good at helping in that degree. So I'll say slightly. I am often the last person to understand the joke. I do have occasions where I do have to ask, what is so funny? Like, someone laughs at something on the TV, maybe someone's watching something on the telly, or maybe there's, in a Discord channel, in a voice channel, maybe there's someone watching something and just like, can you laugh? Just, what's so funny? I can hear them laughing, I can tell there's something funny going on, and I'm not too sure if they're laughing at the same thing I'm laughing at, or if they're laughing at something completely different. So I always have to ask, what do you find so funny about this? So I would say slightly agree to that one. I like doing things spontaneously. Depends on the thing. It depends on the thing for the situation, but I will say slightly agree for that one. If I'm interrupted doing something, I find it hard to get back to what. Yes. Which doesn't help with what I'm thinking. I might have ADHD, because there's sometimes where I will try to do 2 or 3 different things at once, and my brain is just like, I cannot do this. Try to focus on one thing, I'm just like, I don't know what I'm doing. Especially if I'm bouncing between 3 different things at once, I'm just like, I need to do this, and then I get maybe get called away or something, that sort of thing, or something happens, I need to investigate or whatever. I can never always get back to what I'm doing, especially even if something as minor as editing a video. If I start editing this video, for instance, and I get interrupted, it'll take me like an hour to get back into the focus of actually getting the video done and ready. I've been there before. So I would say definitely agree for that one. I notice patterns in things all the time. There's always patterns I notice in things, like, if there's a number plate that has a name on it, or that sort of thing. I do a lot of computer stuff. I like to run old Windows operating systems and stuff on virtual machines. And it's funny because there's a product key for Windows 2000 a copy that I have, where I'm not going to actually say what it says, but effectively it appears from the serial number, the code, the product key, that there might be a bias to a certain console manufacturer, which I thought was quite funny. But yeah, those are the things I notice. It might not even be a case it's just one of those accidental things that happen. Like, I noticed FNAF, or it was more like FNF, like more like Friday Night Funkin', or FNAF on someone's number plate once. I'm just like, FNAF. I think it was actually FNF. I don't really play Friday Night Funkin', but FNAF is the first thing I think of when I think of FNF. But yeah, that's the kind of thing that I would probably notice off the bat. So yeah, I do notice patterns in small things. I have some very strong interests and get upset if I can't pursue them. Try to think of a scenario where that's happened. I can't pursue... I'll say yes. I'll say yes. I can tell if someone I am talking to is getting bored. It's often taken me a few times to say, listen, are you getting bored of what I'm saying right here? I can never always tell. Because I get too enthused by stuff, and sometimes people are just like, they get interested in what I'm talking about. Apparently I've got a good knack for not boring people, but it depends on the situations. We're probably going to people watching this getting bored of what I'm rambling on right here, but I have seen that sort of thing, so I would say definitely agree. Oh, okay. So adult autism test results. Let's scroll down here. Based on your results, there's a strong possibility that you're autistic. Ah, okay then. Few tendencies, slight tendencies, borderline indication, strong likelihood. Okay then. No. No, I'm not paying for that. No, never. But there you go. That is that for the autism test then. So there you go. According to that autism test, I am autistic. There you go. As I say, I'm already on the spectrum to some degree, but apparently the doctor when I was younger, this is like when I was like 4 or 5, I was getting tested for it, and apparently the conclusion they came to at the time was I had dyspraxia. If you don't know what dyspraxia is, it's essentially like if I was to hold this cup and it was full to the top. It's essentially like hand coordination issues. So there might be occasions where I might need to have it half full because I might accidentally spill the cup, but I don't have those problems. And going back to the key collection thing earlier on, I could literally, as a kid, take my grand's car keys. You know, she had a full set of a bunch of different keys and that sort of thing. I could take them all to bits, but put them all back together in the same order that I saw them in. So I could do that all fine and dandy. But things like, you know, if we were doing PE in school, and we were doing like something like football, which probably because I am disinterested in football, I just lost interest in it. It's seeming this is what I'm assuming that happened. I would lose interest in it and just engage too well in it. So if the ball was coming my way, I couldn't catch it. Things like dodgeball, though, I was very good at dodgeball. But I think it feeds into the whole thing of if I enjoy that thing, if I'm interested in that thing, I engage in it more. If I'm not interested in it, I just avoid the thing entirely. I like golf, but I don't like football. I could play golf until, you know, the cows come home. I could play dodgeball until the cows come home. A lot of those kind of things. So yes, I do kind of see some aspects of that in that degree. But I'm hoping in the future to get myself diagnosed with autism, because it is something I'm very passionate about getting done, because it's something I've identified in myself. I used to think I had chronic fatigue syndrome because I used to get overwhelmed by stuff, and then my body wouldn't shut down, but I would get tired and stuff a lot. And apparently that is a side effect of autistic burnout. We can get tired and just, you know, your body just wants to not do anything. I used to think that was a scenario of chronic fatigue syndrome, which I might still have, but that feeds into autism stuff. But there you go. This video is already long enough. I'm not going to leave it any longer, but I hope you found this interesting. This is something a lot different to what I'm used to doing on this channel. I prefer doing a lot of horror games and such. I thought this was interesting, essentially, since it's getting to the end of the month. I've been wanting to do this since the start of the month, because this is just something I've been wanting to get off my chest for a while, and I've finally got it over and done with. So there you go. That's that. I'm not going to waste any longer on this. Thanks for being here. Thanks for enjoying my rambling. I hope you found this interesting. Now, if you're autistic, I will leave a link to this test right here. I don't recommend going anywhere near certain organisation. I'm not too sure if Clinical Partners is trustworthy. I haven't done too much research on them. I just found this test online. I do not trust Autism Speaks, or there's a British, essentially a British version of Autism Speaks, as far as I believe. I can't remember what it's called. I think it's called. What is it called? I think it's called the National Autistic Society, which has been through the ringer a few times, especially on British public broadcasting. Based on some stuff I've researched on this organisation, it may not be as bad, but there's aspects where it might be subtly on the same par as Autism Speaks when it comes to, despite being an autistic charity, doesn't do a lot of things that actually do things to benefit, people in the spectrum. So based on stuff I've read recently, it probably would be best to avoid this organisation, but there you go. As I say, that's enough for today. We'll leave it here. Hope you found this interesting, and I'm not sure I'm going to do more stuff on this in the future, but if I do, I might do it on another alt channel, and I'll probably announce that sort of stuff in the future. If you've identified your stuff, some stuff in these questions or any stuff that I've mentioned in the past before, let me know. But that'd be interesting to see any other aspects or any other givings or that sort of thing. Anyone if you understand that sort of thing, or if you're autistic yourself, you've kind of identified with some of the stuff that I've mentioned here, let me know. I'd be love to be interested in see what people say about that sort of thing. Until next time, guys, that's going to be it. Stay safe, take care, and I'll see you for the next one. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye.